Okay, I know what I want to open this video with because I tend to open with a joke. I just wonder if everyone's gonna hate me and immediately click off if I do that. How common a request do you think it is that for praise in a BDSM situation is for the Dom to say to the sub, "That'll do, pig. That'll do." Babe! I'm not sorry. So believe it or not, I had not seen this movie before. No, this isn't a commission. My girlfriend actually wanted me to see it once she found out I hadn't seen it yet. So this fell in like kind of a weird area because for me, when it came to family entertainment around this time, like I've said in the past, and it's true, I never really grew out of animated features in specific, but there was a period where I had no interest in live action family fare. Like I still liked animation because I loved the art of animation. I just loved watching it. But there was a brief period in the 90s where I was like that's for people younger than me. Same reason I never got on the Power Rangers train. I was a little too old for it. If it had been animated, I might have, but live action, like, no. So I'd never seen Babe, despite it being pretty seminal and pretty important for a lot of folks in my generation, or a few years younger than me, especially. But I've now seen it. You know what? That holds up pretty dang well. That's that's a good movie. Not only is it a good movie, it's a pretty unique movie. It's not so much what it's doing, but the way that it goes about it, I feel like has not really been captured since. Like there were a ton of imitators after this made it big, but what they took from it was movies about animals. Give us talking animals. So we got a whole bunch of talking animal movies, and they're all trash because they fail to recognize the other stuff this is doing. The willingness to go to some pretty dark places in brief spurts, the just lovingly handled effects work and animatronics. Like this thing is a lot. Like you can see the work that went into it and the care. I don't feel like I've seen it on anything that came out after this that was aimed at the same kind of audience. I'm not going to go over the plot of Babe. I feel like it would be redundant for most audiences. Here's what I'll say about my experience watching this. The first thing is, wow, what a showpiece for the Jim Henson Creature Shop. So, like, it's kind of funny. I found myself, as it was going on, kind of playing a game of, ooh, did they switch to an animatronic? Like, I'm spotting it. And you'd think that would take me out of it. It doesn't. Because and like granted this might be a an elder millennial kind of things were better in my day kind of position, but I don't mind spotting the seams on a practical effect the way that it I mind spotting the seams on a digital effect. When I spot the seams on a digital effect, like the whole idea of digital, the reason it came about and supplanted so much of practical effects was supposed to be that A, it did stuff that you couldn't do with practical effects, and B, was supposed to be more seamless. It frequently is not, and eventually ended up supplanting a whole bunch of stuff that could have been done practically and just isn't anymore. But there is something about the animatronics and the puppetry that when a real animal is swapped out for what I know is not a real animal, it's now a puppeted character. I don't mind. It doesn't take me out of it because dang, that looks good. And I can appreciate the artistry that went into it. And I don't want to imply that there's no artistry in CG, but there's something about the tactileness of knowing that like there were 6 people making sure that that sheep's head turned to the right way and it blinked at the right moment, and somebody had to have their hand up in the head to be able to get it right. Like the coordination and building the thing, I'm just in awe of it. I am in awe of that kind of work. CG can get that response out of me, but it's rare. It has to be really well done. And I suppose, honestly, that's true of practical and animatronic effects too. Like if it's a bad practical effect, I'll snicker at it, but maybe that's the thing. I feel like most of the time when I spot the seams on CGI, I'm already spotting a failure. Whereas I'll spot the seams on a practical effect like what this thing is absolutely full of, and I'll just be like, oh, wow, look at them go. Dang. Assuming it's a well-done effect, which all these are. There's a little CG in this. You've got a little bit of computer manipulated mouth movement, but they don't do it too often. They're pretty careful about not overusing that. But overall, there is just a sweetness to this movie of not just Babe, of so many of these characters, of the dogs, of the duck that is crowing and trying to supplant the rooster, of the sheep, the weird cult of sheep. Actually, once we get to that password bit, I'm like, they're a cult. That is the cult of the lamb. A long time before that video game came out. Dang. But more than anything, I think what really impressed me was James Cromwell. Because while there are some other human actors in this is pretty close to a one-man show. And not only is it close to a one-man show, but he speaks so little, a point that gets emphasized at the very end of the movie when the narrator just flat out points that out. But do you know how hard it is to convey not just a character's intentions without words, but also just as rich an inner life as this character clearly has with so few words and not even other human beings to act alongside most of the time? They were right to nominate him for an Oscar for this, because dang, man. I like James Cromwell. I've always liked James Cromwell, but this made me really, truly appreciate, oh, wow, the amount of work that you poured into your craft to make this kids movie work. Damn. Oddly enough, the movie that it made me think of more than anything was The Straight Story, which I did a review on a while back. That one was a commissioned review. And I think the reason is that it embraces the simplicity of its own story. It doesn't overegg the pudding, and it finds the beauty in the small moments. Now, they're aimed at very different audiences and have different intents, but that clarity of purpose and that simplicity of purpose and just executing that really, really well. I felt that in both of those movies. That and also sort of just the general pastoralness, I guess, that it has going on. I kind of appreciate as well. But yeah, Babe. I'd never seen it. It's a dang good movie. There you go. Have you, of course you've watched it. Have you rewatched this lately? What did you think about it then? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills. It enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. They'll help me out. Don't worry too much about it. They'll be taking a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons. Robin Moore, Zumila Fulla, Goddess Elida, Trista Ashley, Oliver B., Melissa Peterson, Tarak, The Thing That Goes Going to the Anime, Jean Foray, Movie Turtle, Ulrich Bogdan, Loki Eris, Linda Walters, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Fernambulax the Poodle, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperol, Dave Hall, White Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Pal Barabajoggle, Lucy Wood, Dorm Mayhew, and Mira G. Thank you for your support, and consider supporting me as well on Patreon.